You're seriously offering me this position? Camila's voice was tight, as if each word had to be squeezed through a clenched jaw. I didn't say anything right away. I let the silence work on her. She stood across from me in the sleek office I had built from a gutted warehouse, now converted into the creative nucleus of Refined Revival, the brand that had turned from attic hobby to household name. The air smelled of fresh-cut eucalyptus and expensive candles. Behind me, a neon sign glowed in cursive, "Make it beautiful again." Camila looked nothing like the girl who used to sit across from me at family dinners laughing as she imitated me scrubbing old furniture. Gone was the smug cousin who once posted a boomerang of me carrying a busted rocking chair, captioned, "Someone save her from this trash addiction." Now she looked pale, anxious, desperate, and she needed a job. She started again, forcing a chuckle. "You know I have a degree in marketing. I was managing campaigns for brands like..." "You got fired," I said softly, cutting through her fluff like a hot knife. "Your last firm imploded after that TikTok boycott campaign backfired." Sophia told me. Her mouth opened slightly, but no sound came out. She blinked. I leaned back in my chair, crossing one leg over the other, letting her sit with the sting. Then I slid the sleek folder across the desk toward her. "This is a real offer. Full-time. Competitive salary. You'll report directly to our content strategist. No special treatment. You'll start Monday." She picked it up with trembling fingers. And that's when I said the part I'd been waiting to say for 4 long, full-circle years. "Oh, and Camila?" I smiled. "Welcome to Refined. Please make sure your nails are clean. You'll be working with furniture now." It was strange how fast power could shift. How the girl once considered the weird one in the family was now the one making the hires. The one holding the keys. But to understand how we got here to that office, to that delicious moment, I have to take you back. Not to when I got my first viral post or made my first $1,000 flip. No, this story starts much earlier. Back when we were still under the same roof. When blood was thicker than water and ambition. Growing up, Camila, Sophia, and I were like 3 limbs on the same body. We shared bunk beds at Grandma's house. Swapped clothes before school. Stuck together at family reunions like a little girl gang. Our parents were siblings, tight-knit, always in each other's business, so we were raised more like sisters than cousins. But even then, I was the odd one. Where Camila lived on Instagram and styled herself like a future fashion editor, and Sophia had her eyes on PR and popularity, I was happiest at flea markets, thrift stores, and yes, junk piles. My eyes didn't light up at the latest iPhone or whatever influencer was trending. They lit up at the sight of a warped armoire or a chair with a broken leg. I didn't see garbage. I saw potential. Our house had a dusty attic no one really used, too hot in the summer, too cold in the winter. But it was my haven. I dragged up discarded pieces from curbsides and garage sales, determined to bring them back to life. Paint-stained jeans. Splinters in my palms. A playlist of lo-fi beats in the background. That was bliss. My mom supported it in a soft, amused way. "It keeps her busy," she'd say at Sunday lunch while Camila rolled her eyes. "At least she's not on her phone all day." But as we got older, their teasing sharpened. Camila once posted a story of me crouched over a dresser I'd rescued, saying, "Meanwhile, in the attic, the ghost of Pinterest past returns," with a laugh emoji. Sophia never posted publicly, she was more subtle. Snide comments. Quick glances. Pitying smiles. They didn't see it as a real hobby. They saw it as a phase, something that would fizzle out once I got serious. They had internships, scholarships, polished resumes. I had paint-streaked leggings and a toolkit I carried like a purse. But here's the thing about being underestimated. It builds something quiet inside you. Pressure. Purpose. A hunger so deep it doesn't burn, it boils. I didn't care that they mocked me. Not really. Because deep down, I knew what I was building wasn't just furniture. I was building freedom. The turning point came the summer after college. Camila had just landed a job at a shiny marketing firm. Sophia was working under a fashion buyer and flooding her feed with lattes and labels. Meanwhile, I had just opened a booth at a local weekend market, my first real venture outside the attic. I'd flipped 10 pieces, each one unique. Clean lines, boho modern finishes, eco-friendly polish, and minimal branding. I even designed hand-stamped tags tied with hemp string and my logo, Refined Revival. Camila came to the market with her boyfriend, strolling through the stalls like they were on a safari through the land of the less successful. She walked right past my booth, then stopped, did a double take, and turned to me. "You made these?" she asked, fingering a retro dresser I'd flipped from a $15 disaster into a West Elm lookalike. "I did," I said, keeping my tone even. She laughed. "No offense, but who actually buys this stuff?" That day, I made $1,300. She made snarky Instagram stories. But success has a way of speeding up when it's fueled by fire. And they had just added fuel. I went all in. Market booths turned into pop-ups. I started posting time-lapse flips and behind-the-scenes on TikTok. My first viral video got me 600,000 views overnight. Then came the sponsorships. Then an ebook. Then my online shop crashed from traffic. People weren't just buying my pieces. They were buying my eye. And just as my empire was rising, just as I was preparing to launch my own design line, Camila's career came crashing down. Her firm ran a tone-deaf campaign that went viral for all the wrong reasons. Sophia's boss got caught in a scandal. Their jobs vanished. And suddenly, they needed a paycheck. Guess who had one to offer? They didn't come to me right away. No, first came the silence. That classic family-wide quiet tension where nobody says what everyone is thinking. The same kind of silence that had hovered during awkward Thanksgivings, after political debates or drunken uncles, except this time it was personal. Too personal. Camila stopped posting for almost a month. Sophia ghosted group chats entirely. No latte art. No brunch selfies. No smug, curated stories from offices with skyline views. Just static. The absence was loud, almost theatrical. I knew something had happened, but I waited. It wasn't until our aunt's birthday barbecue, the kind where everyone brings Tupperware and every child ends up sticky with soda and ketchup, that it surfaced. Camila showed up first, wearing oversized sunglasses and a loose smile that barely reached her eyes. Her hair was pulled back in a low bun, something I hadn't seen since high school, and the edges of her designer tote were fraying. No heels. No statement necklace. Just silence and slouching. I watched from across the lawn, flipping corn on the grill while pretending not to notice her scanning the backyard like a disgraced queen returning to her dethroned court. A few of our younger cousins swarmed her, asking about her cool job in the city. She just smiled weakly and told them she was on a break. Then came Sophia, 20 minutes later, sunglasses pushed up on her head, a travel mug in one hand, and a container of store-bought potato salad in the other. She barely said hi before beelining toward the drink table. Her shoulders were stiff. Her mouth set. That day was the first time the three of us had been in the same place in nearly 6 months. I'd gone full throttle into building Refined Revival, and they'd each been climbing their own glossy corporate ladders. Except now they had slipped. And I had flown. It was Sophia who cracked first. She caught me alone near the cooler, pretending to dig for a sparkling water, but obviously staging an approach. "I've been watching your stuff," she said, not making eye contact. "Your brand. It's doing really well." I nodded slowly, cautious. "Thanks." She pulled out a lemonade and held it like a peace offering. "Like, I actually saw someone wearing one of your upcycled denim jackets at my gym." I was like, "No way, that's my cousin's thing." I just sipped my drink. I didn't say what I wanted to say, which was, where was this energy 3 years ago? When you were laughing behind your phone as I loaded sandpaper into my cart at Home Depot. Instead, I offered the olive branch she was too proud to ask for. "I'm looking for someone to help with outreach," I said. "The PR side. We're scaling fast, and I can't keep up with all the press inquiries." Her eyes flickered. Interest. Surprise. Hesitation. "You're offering me a job?" she asked, voice tight with disbelief. "I'm offering you a role," I replied, evenly. "You'd be part of a team. Entry level. I can't play favorites. She looked stunned for a second, then quickly covered it with a shrug. I mean, I've done brand events and influencer management for almost 2 years, so yeah, I could help. I gave her the email address of my operations lead. Send her your resume. She'll schedule an interview. And just like that, the first domino fell. Camila held out longer. Of course she did. She'd always been more prideful than Sophia, sharper, meaner when wounded, and obsessed with status like it was her lifeline. So when I hired Sophia, she didn't say a word. Not to me. Not online. She just started dropping hints at family dinners, little digs. I saw the campaign for your store launch, she said once, between bites of arroz con pollo. It's cute. A little indie chic, you know. Or, that one post about flipping a headboard? The algorithm must have loved it. You're lucky, it's so random what blows up these days. But pride can only keep you warm for so long when the heat's been turned off. A few weeks later, I got a LinkedIn message. From her. Hey, I know we haven't talked much recently, but I wanted to say I'm really proud of what you've built. I've been going through some stuff professionally, and if there's any way I could get involved, even part-time, I'd love to support what you're doing. Support. The word made me laugh. Quietly. Alone. Still, I didn't ignore her. I forwarded the message to my HR manager with one instruction. If she's qualified, she can apply like everyone else. No nepotism. She got hired. She was good, to her credit, sharp eye, quick with campaign language, better at the behind-the-scenes content than I expected. But she had to start from scratch. From the bottom. While I sat in the glass-walled office with design boards, investor pitch decks, and partnerships I used to dream about. But here's the twist no one saw coming. Not even me. Hiring them didn't bring the satisfaction I thought it would. Not right away. If anything, it made things messier. Because suddenly I wasn't just the cousin with the weird little hobby. I was the boss. Their boss. And the weight of those dynamics of family becoming hierarchy made every day a quiet battlefield. They didn't like taking orders. I didn't like holding grudges. And none of us liked pretending the past didn't exist. Which is exactly why, when the scandal hit, one that could have unraveled everything, I was already standing on eggshells. And one of them lit the match. It started with a tweet. Just one tweet. 17 words. A screenshot of one of my early flips, an old, shipping coffee table I had found at a garage sale in Joliet, which I'd sanded, painted ivory, and stenciled with a minimalist sunburst pattern. The original caption from my ancient Instagram read, $12 table plus $9 of love equals $150 flip. Trash to treasure, baby. Hashtag refund revival, hashtag thrifted and gifted. And below it, in bold black text, the tweet said, "So we're just gentrifying furniture now?" I didn't see it right away. No, I was in a design meeting, mapping out the mood board for our upcoming fall collection, a blend of 70s era warm tones and modern Japandi influence. I was mid-sentence, pointing to a swatch of ochre velvet when my assistant, Nia, slipped her phone toward me under the table. "Check trending," she whispered. I didn't need more than 5 seconds. My name was there. Refined Revival was there. And the words thrift flipping were trending for all the wrong reasons. That tweet had gone viral overnight. But it wasn't just one post. It had spun into a thread. Then a dozen more. Think pieces. Rage posts. TikToks with 300K likes talking about how small-town thrifters were stealing affordable furniture and reselling it for outrageous prices to urban hipsters. The kicker? Someone had compiled a folder of my before and after flips, complete with prices, and accused me of capitalizing on scarcity culture. And at the center of it? A leak. Someone had sent private photos from our upcoming Restored Roots campaign, images that hadn't been released yet. They showed our pieces styled in upper-class homes, posed next to luxury items, complete with text overlays like, "This desk cost me $20 and sold for $800 after 3 coats of matte black and a new handle." Taken out of context, sure. But damning? Absolutely. We'd spent months planning that campaign. It was supposed to highlight the beauty of reuse, of sustainability, of transforming the forgotten into functional art. And instead, we were suddenly the face of trendy villainy. The next 48 hours were a blur of damage control. My inbox imploded. My DMs were chaos. Sponsors paused their campaigns. A major feature in Dwell was suddenly delayed indefinitely. We lost over 8,000 followers on Instagram in 2 days. Our website traffic crashed, not from shoppers, but from hate clicks. I barely slept. My PR team scrambled to release a statement emphasizing our ethical practices, our community partnerships, the fact that we sourced most of our materials from discarded piles or free listings, not from Goodwills or donation centers. But the leak hurt. Because someone had to send those photos. Someone on the inside. And my gut twisted with a suspicion I didn't want to admit. Be honest with me, I said, pacing the office, eyes bouncing between Camila and Sophia as they sat across from my desk. Did either of you leak the campaign content? The room went still. Camila leaned back in her chair, arms crossed. Sophia blinked, genuinely surprised or pretending to be. Why would we sabotage the campaign? Camila asked, her voice tight but controlled. This is our paycheck too. I don't know, I replied. Maybe because being under me still tastes bitter. Maybe because you thought this would humble me. Sophia looked hurt. That's not fair. I've been busting my ass managing outreach since the holiday drop. You know that. I did know that. But I also knew someone had emailed high-resolution, watermarked campaign photos to an anonymous account 3 weeks before our press embargo ended. And the only people with access were me, my creative director, our marketing intern, and them. I didn't accuse them outright. Not then. But something shifted. The closeness, the fragile rebuilding of trust, the awkward laughter during lunch breaks, the shared jokes about growing up in Grandma's duplex, it all cracked. Camila started arriving late. Sophia grew quieter, more careful. Meetings turned cold. Collaboration dissolved into formality. And then the internal audit came back. A message was sent from Camila's work email to a personal folder. The file names matched the leaked images. When I confronted her with the evidence, she didn't deny it. She didn't apologize either. She just looked me dead in the eye and said, "You wouldn't even be here without us." The words hit like a slap. Not because they were true, because they were so far from the truth, they almost sounded tragic. I wouldn't be here without her? Without Sophia? No. I built this despite them. Despite the ridicule, the side eyes, the social media snark. Despite being told my dream was embarrassing. That it was hoarding. That it was a joke. And now that joke paid my mortgage. Bought me equity. Paid their salaries. I fired Camila that same afternoon. Not because I hated her. Because I needed the boundary. The dignity. The final line in the sand. Sophia stayed on. To this day, I don't know if she knew. If she helped. If she tried to stop it. But her silence said enough. We never spoke about it again. The scandal blew over eventually. They always do, if you weather them with grace and grit. My video response. Transparent, heartfelt, unscripted, went viral in a good way. I did a full behind-the-scenes documentary showing where we sourced our materials, the real cost of restoration, the local artisans we partnered with. We offered discounts to low-income shoppers. Started a grant for young upcyclers. My following came back. Stronger. Smarter. Louder. But I wasn't the same. Something hard had settled in my chest. Something heavy and silent. Not grief. Not quite betrayal either. More like clarity. The silence after the scandal was unlike anything I had experienced before. It wasn't the silence of failure, the kind that buzzes with shame and shadows itself in closed doors. I'd lived through that already, when I was flipping couches in the attic and people barely liked my posts, let alone shared them. No, this silence was different. This silence was electric. Sharp. Clean. A moment of suspended breath before something changed forever. I had come out of the controversy not as a victim, but as something more dangerous, resilient, yes, but also undeniable. Refined Revival didn't just survive the public dragging, it transformed. My story, The girl mocked for thrift flipping, publicly accused of furniture gentrification, and now standing strong with full transparency, resonated. The truth had legs, and people were running with it. I started getting interview requests. Real ones this time. The Cut, Forbes Under 30, podcasts that weren't just about aesthetics, but about grit and business and legacy. They didn't want just pretty flips. They wanted to know how I built a business from broken scraps, literally and metaphorically. And I told them. I told them about sanding old headboards in the attic at 17. About learning to use a staple gun before I ever drove a car. About crying when I sold my first upcycled armoire for more than $200 because it felt like I'd created something no one could take from me. What I didn't tell them, not out of shame, but out of strategy, was how my cousins had fit into the story. Camila's name never passed my lips again, not in interviews, not on the website, not even in conversations with vendors or clients who used to know us as a trio. It was like she had been edited out of the narrative. Not with bitterness, but with intention. She had written herself out when she sent those files. She had made her decision. Sophia, on the other hand, stayed. Quietly. Carefully. She worked harder than she ever had before. And while the tension between us had congealed into something cool and brittle, I couldn't deny that she was good at her job. She handled a critical campaign in the months that followed. The Reclaim Your Space initiative that matched flipped furniture with women leaving transitional housing, and that campaign alone brought in 3 major nonprofit partnerships and $400,000 in impact funding. We weren't friends anymore, but we were something else. Something functional. Strategic. Real. She never once brought up Camila. And neither did I. The next big shift came when Target reached out. Yes, that Target. They wanted to collaborate on a capsule collection. Home decor inspired by the refined revival aesthetic. It wouldn't be real flips, of course, but inspired designs based on our most viral transformations. Entry-level price points. Ethical materials. Studio shop videos showing the spirit of renewal. The call came on a rainy Tuesday, and I remember sitting at my desk, barefoot with a cup of lukewarm tea, blinking at my screen like I was hallucinating. Target wanted me. They wanted the weird cousin who used to dig through trash. The girl who once pulled a broken rocking chair out of a dumpster while Camila filmed it for her story with a laughing emoji. The woman who now had a 5-person design team, a 12,000 square feet warehouse, and an investor waiting list. The irony wasn't lost on me. Not when the same week that I signed that contract, I saw Camila at Grandma's house for the first time in nearly a year. It was a birthday. Grandma turning 80. Everyone was there. Loud uncles, toddlers in tutu dresses, old neighbors who still called me Maya from downstairs. I hadn't planned on attending. I didn't want the drama. Didn't want the questions. But then I thought about it, about what it would mean to avoid her, to stay home in silence while she probably flaunted her newest fake hustle or business pivot. And I decided, no. I'm going. I wore black. Not on purpose, but it felt symbolic. Black wide-leg trousers. A cropped blazer. Minimal gold jewelry. Hair slicked. Intentional. Clean. Untouchable. When I walked in, people cheered. Clapped. I wasn't just the cousin with the brand anymore. I was the one who had made it. The one who'd been on TV. The one who had changed her family's tax bracket. Even if no one said it out loud, the shift was felt. And then I saw her. Camila. Standing by the punch bowl, plastic cup in hand, talking to someone I didn't recognize. Her hair was shorter now, her expression tighter. She looked older than I remembered, older than she should have. She didn't approach me. Didn't even look my way. But the energy in the room shifted like tectonic plates when we were both there. A quiet recalibration. Halfway through the party, she passed me on the way to the bathroom. Our eyes locked for a second. 1 second. She said nothing. Neither did I. And just like that, she was gone again. That was the last time I saw her. People ask me sometimes, people who don't know the full story. How I stayed humble. How I didn't let the success go to my head. And the truth? I didn't stay humble. I chose power. And I built a world where I didn't have to explain myself anymore. I didn't chase revenge. I didn't need to. Because there's something far sweeter than revenge. Proof. Proof that I was right. Proof that weird hobbies have value. Proof that creativity is currency. And that no amount of side-eye, no group chat laughter, no teenage mockery could undo the empire I had carved with my own hands. Hands that once lifted junk off curbs. Hands that now signed 7-figure contracts. It was a Thursday 3 years to the day since Refined Revival launched its first online store. I remembered it vividly because that night, I had sat on the floor of my tiny apartment with a glass of boxed wine, refreshing the site over and over while watching 3 strangers buy upcycled furniture I had spent my entire summer sanding and staining with my bare hands. I'd made $762 in 24 hours and thought I had hit the ceiling of what was possible. Now, 3 years later, I was walking into a boardroom overlooking the skyline, pitching a global licensing deal to the design heads of one of the largest home decor conglomerates in North America. We were there to discuss taking Refined Revival international, distribution across Europe, branded restoration workshops in Copenhagen, a flagship store in London, artisan collaborations in Marrakesh. It was the kind of opportunity that lived in dreams and vision boards, not in thrifted side tables and garage sale mirrors. And as I clicked through my presentation, confident, poised, sharp, I felt something shift deep in my bones. This wasn't luck. This wasn't a fluke. This was mastery meeting momentum. And I had earned every single inch of it. But the funny thing about success is this. It's loud on the outside, but quiet on the inside. Because once you've climbed the mountain, there's no applause at the summit. Just wind, space, clarity, and sometimes unexpected echoes from the past. It came in the form of an email. Subject line. Long shot, but I had to try. It was from Camila. I froze. Not because I missed her. Not because I wanted drama. But because I was truly, deeply surprised. The message was short, clean, uncharacteristically humble. Hey Maya. I hope this doesn't come across the wrong way. I've been following Refine's growth from afar and, honestly, I'm proud of you. I know things didn't end well between us, and I take full responsibility for my part in that. I was immature, threatened, and I did something that I regret more than you'll probably ever know. I'm not writing to ask for anything. I'm just trying to rebuild myself. I've been working on something small. Nothing major, but I'd love your feedback if you're open to it. Either way, congratulations. You built something incredible. Cam. For a long time, I didn't know what to feel. I reread it 3 times. Then I closed my laptop and walked to the warehouse floor. The air was rich with sawdust and potential. Around me, interns were restoring a 1960s credenza while my lead designer tested sustainable sealants. My operations manager was on a call with a supplier from Portugal. The music was soft, steady. Homie, this was mine. All of it. Built from wood and wounds. Threaded together with grit and glue. Camila's email didn't stir up anger. It didn't even bring satisfaction. What it brought was reflection. Because as much as she had betrayed me, mocked me, doubted me, she had also shaped me. Her dismissal had added weight to my drive. Her sabotage had taught me boundaries. And the fact that she could admit that now, that she had reached out with sincerity, not spin, that was enough. I didn't respond right away. I let a week pass. Then 2. And then, one morning, I sent a short reply. Cam, thank you for your message. I hope you're doing well. I'd be happy to take a look at your project. We never became close again. Not really. But in time, we became something better, neutral with grace. She sent over a PDF of a small home goods line she was working on, upcycled candles in reclaimed jars with soft, minimalist branding. It was good. Not revolutionary, but genuine. Thoughtful. I gave her honest feedback. Encouragement. A few contacts. And that was it. I never tried to reinsert her into my business. She never asked. Sophia stayed on at Refined for another year before branching out to lead sustainability campaigns for a global textile company. We hugged goodbye like women who had been through a war together, scarred, but still standing. And me? I kept building. Years later, during a keynote I gave in San Francisco, someone asked me what advice I'd give to a young creator who felt mocked or misunderstood for their ideas. I paused, looked out over the packed auditorium, and smiled. Let them laugh, I said. Let them misunderstand you. Let them roll their eyes. Because one day, if you stay true to your vision, if you keep flipping the trash into treasure, they'll look up from the sidelines, stunned, and realize they just watched you turn rejection into a runway. And by then, the only thing you'll be flipping is the script. The crowd erupted. Cameras flashed. And in the silence afterward, I felt it. Not pride. Peace. Because the story wasn't about revenge. It never really was. It was about seeing beauty where others saw nothing. And believing in it long enough to make the world see it too.